Yeah, it's completely surreal that even happened. I think that the gravity of the situation certainly didn't hit me at the time. Again, we had just come off an 0-11 season, and we had beaten New Mexico State, and the fans tore down the goalpost. And then Georgia comes into town with Quincy Carter, a Heisman Trophy candidate, throws 5 picks, and we beat them. They tear the goalpost down. We beat a bad Eastern Michigan team. And then Mississippi State comes into town, and that's a team that just played for the SEC championship and lost to Peyton Manning's or T. Martin's Tennessee team. So they were a really good team. And I think that this was a game where Gamecock fans were kind of like, is this team for real or not? But all game long, their defensive coordinator was a guy named Joe Lee Dunn. And Coach Dunn was renowned for bringing a lot of pressure. And that year, he had this thing where he'd play 11 guys on the line of scrimmage if you were a spread team. He'd press every single receiver, and he'd put 6 guys up if you're in a spread set, and he'd bring them. Well, they've been doing that a good bit of the game, and people forget the game that Phil Petty had. That they think about me in the fade, but Phil threw for over 300 yards that game. One of his best game as a Gamecock in terms of yards. And, they've been bringing a lot of pressure, and it was 3rd and 10, and they brought a guy off the edge again, and Phil kind of eluded him and rolled to the right and got hit and undercut and sprained his ankle pretty good. And I remember looking at him and saying, okay, Phil, get up. I hadn't thrown a ball since halftime. And he fell back down, and that's when I knew to go get my helmet. So I went and got my helmet. I threw about 3 balls to one of the other quarterbacks there. And Coach Holtz walks up to me and says, "Hey, Eric, what do you like?" And I said, "Coach, let's throw 18." And 18 was our number for the fade. Outside guys were on the fade. And I kind of went into coach mode because when I was in high school, I called all the plays from the line of scrimmage. And if anybody pressed me, I oftentimes would check to a fade route. And so as a backup quarterback, you try to stay in tune to the game. And I knew what they were doing, and it wasn't any surprise that they were going to be impressed. And so I just said, "Coach, let's throw 18." Now, he had his own version after the game, which was even better than mine. And a lot of people know me for that play probably because of the way he described it. But, I went into the game, and I saw Jermel. I was on the right hash on the 25-yard line, and I saw Jermel getting pressed by their worst corner. And not that he was bad, but he wasn't Fred Smoot, who was an NFL caliber corner, and who was pressing James Atkinson at the time. And in my opinion, Jermel was our best receiver. So I knew where I was going with the ball before the ball was snapped. And they snapped it back, and we were taught back then just to catch it, flip it, and throw it. I didn't have the laces, which we were taught just to let it go. So I didn't have the laces when I threw that ball. And I looked out the corner of my eye, and I saw Jermel getting kind of jammed up just a touch. So I put a little bit more air on it than I normally would, which is something I did in high school. And at first I was like, oh, man, I hope I didn't overthrow him. But the ball dropped in there. Jermel made a great catch. I mean, an absolutely wonderful catch. So, my mom hugged him, I think, for 3 years after that play, every time she saw him. So, and the rest is kind of history. So, it's kind of surreal to be known by a great play when you were a very average to below average player. Sometimes I feel bad about it because there's guys that had wonderful careers that were, unbelievable players. I mean, I think about Andre Goodman, who's known by the push-off, and he had a 10-year NFL career. And here's this kind of scrubby walk-on that's known by a great play. So, but anyway, I'll take it, I guess.